roses heal. So for anyone listening, trim your roses.
Yeah.
To keep them drinking. What other unique things about flowers have you learned?
One of the other factors is ethylene. Like plants actually create their own poison in the water. He's like, I'm in love. He's like, I want to give this ring and ask her to marry me. And, our designer's like, I think you'd need more coming from you,
Right. Green Bench Flowers is the best place to go get your flowers for Valentine's Day. And if you're hearing this, go order your flowers right now.
Greenbench.com.
Greenbench.com. Go order your flowers. Hello, all you beautiful people. Welcome back. I'm your host, Ryan Bogdan. Before we dive into today's awesome guest, I want to let you know that this podcast is sponsored by Bogdan Homes. So if you know anyone looking to buy, sell, or invest here in the greater Tampa Bay area, please find our contact information in the description below. And now, on to our awesome guest here on the 71st episode of Talkin St. Pete. I have Frank Kraft, the owner of Green Bench Flowers. Frank, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, I'm stoked to have you here. We're practically neighbors with having you right across the street. And I think today might be the coldest day in St. Pete.
I don't like it at all. It's got that mist, like the Seattle type rain.
I know. The humidity is just burning. And I don't think the office buildings are geared for the heat. So it is a little chilly in here today.
Yeah, I've been trying not to go outside, and I've been somewhat successful.
Yeah.
I don't like it. I'm ready to get back to at least the 60s.
Let's get up there. Yeah, we just don't belong. We're not properly dressed. I have my thin socks on.
Yeah.
It's not good. So, Frank, you've been in St. Pete since the early 90s. Where'd you move from?
I came from Memphis. So I was 10 when my family moved down here. So I grew up old Northeast and kind of running around all around these parts too.
Okay, so this is home.
Yeah, I used to kind of hold on to I'm not a Floridian. I'm from Memphis, but especially when it gets cold, I'm just a Floridian now.
You're like, no, my blood is thin.
My blood is thin. I don't do the pride thing. I wear the jacket.
Yeah. We'll put the sweaters on. Yeah. Wear a hat when it drops below. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Okay, so moved here since you were 10. So I would consider that you're a native.
Pretty, yeah. I mean, at this point, 30-something years.
You've watched the city transform.
Yes, it's been a lot.
It definitely has been. And you had an opportunity to acquire Green Bench Flowers, which has been around longer than you've been here almost, right?
I think it was just about the same amount of time,
Just about, okay.
Well, technically, you can trace it all the way back to Moss Brothers Department Store, which was like the Joe DiMaggio signing books kind of days.
Okay.
Over where Duke headquarters is, that used to be a big department store, Moss Brothers. And they had a flower department. And then in the 80s, I guess, they merged with Burdines. And Burdine said, we don't need a flower department. So the woman that was managing the flower shop spun out on her own, opened a flower shop, and kind of moved in one location, bounced to a second one. And at that point, it became Green Bench Flowers. So it kind of goes back for, I don't know, forever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's cool. Okay, so how does one fall into owning a flower shop?
For me, it was kind of happenstance. I remotely manage an art center out in Kansas City, and it's mainly ceramics, though now we've got a hot shop concept too, Belger Arts. So we were looking to do a photography-oriented art center thing here. So in the Snell Arcade, there was a big space in the corner. It doesn't have any frontage anywhere. Mm-hmm. And so we were going to use that kind of to do classes and all the kind of art stuff. And then the flower shop was going to be a flower shop still, but also kind of be the gift shop. So enter through the gift shop, 4th Street frontage, all that kind of stuff. Well, because of condo politics, stupid things, the big space fell apart. And so the whole concept kind of fell apart. But we had a flower shop. So I got to learn the business. It's another visual art medium, but more retail. Mm-hmm. And so I hopped in, learned the business, and here we are.
Okay, so maybe I missed it a little bit. So was the shop for sale at the time? Okay. Yeah. So you were trying to bring in another concept, mm-hmm. and through that then found out about this and kind of just fell into your lap a little bit. Yeah,
the last owner, Shelly, we're kind of like family friends, so we've been in the loop. So when she found out kind of what we were doing, she hopped in and was like, well, I'm looking to kick my feet up and retire a little bit. And so that sort of opened that opportunity, and sometimes you just jump on it.
Yeah, and before we even had the opportunity to meet Frank, I've been a customer quite a few times, bought quite a few things. You guys have a great selection. So when coming in, because did you have experience in flowers before?
I just am buying them.
Right, just in buying them, yeah.
Yeah.
So just as me, so just as a consumer, so what are some things and challenges? Because I find that unique of like, flowers are such a unique item for when people are coming in together. That could be for happy moments, it could be for sad moments, it could be for the list goes on and on and on, right? So what were some things that you had to learn in coming in and now being the owner of this flower shop?
I mean, I had to learn pretty much everything outside of normal kind of retail stuff.
Yeah, besides the business.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's I mean, I guess the way roses work. So like a rose, a lot of people will have this conception that a rose is gonna be super tight when it's new, and then as soon as it opens a little bit, it's on its way out. But like each rose is different based on like what variety it is. And so like some start off wide, open wider, some start tight and never really open, and then they heal probably more than any other flower. We always tell people give a fresh cut every like 2 to 3 days, and it's because it's like a scab. The stem actually heals over and it stops drinking at that point.
Whoa.
And so that's why sometimes if you get roses, they droop early. It's because they healed up and they're not drinking. So like, yeah, give them a little fresh cut. You get more life out of them.
Okay, so these are the things I want to know. I want to know all the little flower tricks. Like I know, like I can nerd out. You know, I had a lady in here yesterday. I learned out that professional pinball is an international ranked thing. Never would have guessed before.
I love pinball. That's the thing.
Oh yeah. Okay, we'll talk. Yes. There is apparently little tournaments throughout St. Pete and all thing. Like it's a whole thing.
Nice.
I thought she was kidding.
Yeah.
Okay, but just as I can get curious about international pinball, I'm curious about these flowers. So roses heal. So for anyone listening, trim your roses.
Yeah.
To keep them drinking. What other unique things about flowers have you learned? Or like, I mean, I'm looking at you as the expert.
Yeah. I mean, one thing, like I said before we started, that keeping flowers alive is the opposite of when you're trying to grow a plant with flowers. You know, sunlight, no frost, all that kind of stuff. That's good for growing the plant, but as soon as you cut the flower off, you're kind of looking to suspend it. So cold is good. So that's why we keep things in refrigeration. Oh, flowers ship around the world totally dry packed. They're dried out totally. So when you get them in, they're these dry little raisin looking flowers. I mean, not that bad, but
right.
So one of the first things we have to do is we clean them and we hydrate them. But they can stay like totally dry packed for a week, maybe 2. And then, once you plop them in water, they fill up and get all full and beautiful the way we're all used to seeing them. But that's something I never knew.
Right. No, that's definitely unique.
Yeah.
So where do the flowers come from? Who's the supplier of flowers?
Ecuador is a big one just because, the sun's straight up.
Okay.
But then you got Highland, you got some other South American places. A lot of our stuff comes from Ecuador, though.
Wow.
And then Colombia, I don't know if they still do. There was a problem in the past where if you got big shipments from Colombia, sometimes you had holes sticking through your flowers because they'd take a steel rod through the box to make sure it wasn't cocaine.
Makes sense. Yeah. Okay, so your flowers getting poked.
So you ruin a whole box and you go,
Right. Yeah. Why did you have to do that?
Homeland Security.
Right. Yeah, makes sense. Okay, so the dry. That's so crazy. I never thought about that. So the flowers, they're pretty fresh then when you guys get them.
Yeah. They cut it. I don't actually even know what the drying process is, but like they chop them in at the farm, pack them, whatever they do to dry them, and then they basically ship to Miami and then pop up to us. So we get them pretty quick.
Wow.
Yeah.
And then how long do they last? Because that has to be difficult for you, kind of like the produce section in the grocery store. Mm-hmm. You have a shelf life for these flowers. So how is managing inventory at certain demands to make sure that you don't have too much and it goes to waste versus not having enough?
Yeah, that's kind of the name of the game with retail's inventory management. So you get a feel for it. Just especially the longer you've been around, you kind of know what's going to sell when. Like right now, we're in a lull. Valentine's is coming up. So a lot of times people kind of keep their powder dry thinking like, well, I'll be getting flowers in a couple of weeks, But that's the other thing too. With the dry pack flowers, maybe you don't hydrate all of them right away. Maybe you put them off for like a week because they have different lives. So a tulip might only get you 5 days. A sunflower might get you a couple weeks. It kind of depends on a number of factors. And like another thing, one of the other factors is ethylene. Like plants actually create their own poison in the water. It's not supposed to be poison, but it's ethylene. It's plants breaking down in the water. And if you don't change that water out, they suck it up and it kills them faster. So like changing the water every couple of days is like, something we say a lot and people go, yeah. But really, if you change the water like every 2 days, like especially as you've had them for a while, that's how to keep things going. Like even more than the fresh cuts.
These are great tricks.
They are.
These are great tricks. So even after you purchase the flowers, these are things that, you recommend for people to do, and you're saying, do it.
Well, the nice thing too is like, say you get flowers for someone else, and if you change the water for them, do the cuts, it shows how much you care about this nice thing you did for them,
Yeah.
Extra gravy.
Extra gravy. Right, yeah. How many people are walking through the door for like, oops, I have to, these are my makeup flowers.
It's not uncommon, and they typically announce it.
Yeah, I bet. Like, you got it.
Yeah, people have all sorts of ways they say it, but
yeah.
We always encourage them, write a note.
You're right. Yeah, so tell me some funny stories. Like, there has to be some good ones of people coming into the shop.
There was actually, I don't know if I should tell this one or not, because it involves this office.
Oh, well, let's just keep names out.
Yeah, we'll keep names out.
Yeah.
But this fella came in, and he was just like, hey, if I bring a gift, will you deliver it with the flowers? And we said, yeah, sure. So this guy comes back like 2 hours later or something, and just one of the biggest boxes you've ever seen with another little box. And so we go, oh, okay. So we use like a hand truck, bring it over with the flowers, and we go, here you go. We leave. Don't think much about it. We get a phone call. Apparently, this fella was not supposed to be in contact with someone.
Yeah.
And it spun into a big issue.
This is trying to be the extreme makeup and backfired.
It was, it was extremely, I guess, became extremely criminal, I guess.
Oh, okay. Got it.
But,
okay.
So you get funky things like that. We had a guy that used to send this was forever ago, 8 years ago maybe, and he always said, oh, I'm in love. And I'm trying to remember his name. He had a crazy name. But so we'd bring, roses, and you'd see a girl be like, you go, oh, he doesn't even really know this person. And
right, because you're delivering.
Yeah. And so our head designer at the time, Alan, would always be like, hey, it's like, why don't you just comment? Maybe just grab flowers, bring them yourself, And so we try to encourage sanity, which doesn't always work. And so then one day he comes in with a ring. He's like, I'm in love. He's like, I want you to give this ring and ask her to marry me. And, our designer's like, I think you'd need more coming from you,
Right.
So we show up. Sure enough, this young lady had no real idea who this guy was. And it was just...
Oh, so this is bizarre.
Yeah, so it doesn't happen a lot, but when it does happen, it sticks with you. And
of course.
Yeah. But,
wow. Yeah, so the flower game, people really think that that's going to move the needle. Not saying it can't, but not if you're... in bad graces.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, I mean, it's such a cool thing that you do, because I don't, honestly, unless I'm just being naive, I can't think of any other flower shops. So you guys are doing a good job.
Yeah,
right?
Only one downtown.
Yeah, only one downtown, and been around for a while. Right. What's your busiest time of year?
Valentine's.
So what's preparation look like for that?
We're actually preparing for it right now.
I bet.
So we do hundreds of arrangements on Valentine's. Most of it will be on the 14th. Some will be on the 13th, a little bit on the 12th. So
people come in on the 14th for pickup?
People come in.
Or just buy? Yeah. How much of a procrastination? And I'm going to call out the gentleman.
Yes. It's bad. So there's a round of people that show up at 5 o'clock
on Valentine's Day. They have nothing planned. This is not pre-ordered. Mm-mm. Okay, keep going.
And so sometimes we have enough. We can put something together. Sometimes we don't. We had a guy one time just desperately. We had this fake palm tree just as decor, kind of in the corner. I forgot it existed, and so he grabbed it. He's like, "Can I buy this?" And there was this old price tag on it. It said $100, and I was like, "I guess," So I sold it to him. Sure enough, the next day or maybe a couple days later, I see this hangdog guy coming in with his plant, or fake plant, and he's like, "Can I return it?" And I was like, "Yeah." I knew that was failure when it went out the door.
Right? Yeah, desperation.
Yeah, so it could be bad. I mean, we get people that call at noon on Valentine's Day and go, I'm planning ahead this year. And we go, yeah, you got 200 deliveries ahead of you,
Right, planning ahead, calling at noon.
Yeah, so it's bad, but what we try to do is so like a lot of people don't think about like the greenery that's in an arrangement. Not only does that kind of help frame an arrangement and do that, but it also gives structure to it. Because if you think about how roses stick up, you want them, there's different ways to do it, but one way is using the greenery for structure. So like right now, what we're doing is we're bunching up some greenery, like in little things that you can just plop into a vase.
So it'll be quick.
Yeah,
You're setting yourself up to put these together. So when do the roses show up?
I'll have to look at my calendar.
Michael, real quick, find out when this episode is going to come out because it's going to be close to Valentine's Day.
Okay.
Because I need to know. Okay, so sorry. When do the roses show up?
I'd have to look at my calendar, but they start showing up. Well, we've got, so in the 2 weeks leading up to it, well, I guess in the 10 days leading up to it, we have different flowers coming in at different times. Because remember, they're dry packed, so we have to hydrate them. We have to do all that. And what we do is we'll try to put together, I don't know, we'll put together maybe 100 dozens of like red roses and another, so we put a couple 100 dozens together. And you're going to see out there, we'll have a big refrigerated truck that we park out there. To give
extra storage.
Extra storage, yeah. So we load that thing up with dozens, and then we'll go through the other things that sell well that also can not get damaged. Some things like lilies get damaged real easy, so you got to kind of add those day of. But yeah, we do as much ahead of time that we can, and we thin out our menu a little bit too. Just instead of saying the world is your oyster, we go, well, it's kind of not.
Yeah, well, I mean, you have supply and demand, right? And so you need to streamline the process.
Exactly.
I'm actually so glad that we're doing this right now because I think your episode is going to come out close to the 5th.
Hey, yeah, right.
Yeah, the week before Valentine's Day. So as you're listening to this episode, how far in advance should people put their orders in?
Today, when you listen to it, put in your order.
Okay, so listen to this right now.
Yeah.
Green Bench Flowers is the best place to go get your flowers for Valentine's Day. And if you're hearing this, because this is now real, I'm on your Instagram. Go order your flowers right now.
Greenbench.com.
Greenbench.com. Go order your flowers. Roses.
Or whatever.
Whatever you're going to do. And yeah, don't miss out. Do you sell out every year? Frank, you sell out every year.
I mean, we sell out. If you order early, you get what you want. If you order late, you get what's left.
Don't get the bottom of the barrel.
Yeah.
Okay? She deserves better.
That's right. That is the thing when people come in, they go, do you have anything? We're like, I got some hydrangeas and whatever over here. Go, this kind of looks nice. And sometimes they go, I gotta go. I need to spend more money based on how long I've waited.
Yeah. What's the craziest flower order? And because you guys do weddings, like what's the largest event or like,
Yeah, we've had some big weddings. We have
it's like did someone come in and buy 100 roses?
Oh yeah.
What's the most?
Well, I'm trying. We have this one customer, and he was. I actually don't even know. I think maybe it was his lady's birthday or something. But there's a private club out in Tampa, and he was renting out one of the nice rooms, and so she really liked this hot pink rose, and so he wanted a number of. I forget how many 3 dozen arrangements we did, but we did a bunch of these 3 dozens, and then there was. I feel like rose petals were involved, and gardenias.
Did you have to do any special order? Was this like in advance? Or?
Yeah, I mean, like, to plan ahead because we have. There's a rose called Pink Floyd, the hot pink, smells real nice. So we get that in regularly, but we only get in like a couple bunches of it regularly. For Valentine's, we get a whole bunch, but when you need however many hundreds of roses, that end up being like, you got to plan ahead a little bit because we do have to get them.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And so. But that was a big one. We had to set up a lot, and then gardenias were kind of a special order because they don't really sell at typical wholesalers. They don't have a long life to them. They bloom.
Difficult.
They go away. Yeah, it's expensive and difficult.
Is that the most difficult? What's the most difficult flower to deal with?
I mean, that one's pretty bad just because like as soon as it's cut off the tree, it's sort of. Or the bush, it's kind of gone.
It's dwindling.
Yeah. And like it's not grown commercially really for these purposes. So there's like one place that sells like gardenia, like boxes of gardenias online, and so it can be challenging. And they're just one farm or something, so their shipping's challenging too. Yeah, that's probably one of the most challenging ones that we had.
What's the easiest?
I mean, easiest, just you know, a couple sunflowers.
Sunflowers,
even roses.
I like sunflowers.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah,
but like 10 sunflowers or a dozen roses. They look very nice, but it's a pretty basic design. It's just symmetry, symmetry, and that's it. A little fill in there, whether it's baby's breath or like eucalyptus or something. But it looks nice, but it is kind of one of these simple things to make, which is, I don't understand why some shops really mark up their roses like crazy, like it's the diamond or something. And but I think some of the mixes we do I think they look better. And I think, they're definitely more dynamic. They take more time to do. They have more of an artisan touch to them. And because the roses don't take that long to do comparatively, that's why we kind of stay aggressive with our rose prices. I think we're still like the cheapest dozen in town, because it's just, instead of pretending like this was some arduous task, it's like, yeah, we can make it. It looks beautiful. It means a lot, but it's not the most difficult arrangement. So, why invent a markup? Yeah.
And how involved are you in the design process?
Not very. No, I've got a great head designer. She used to work up in the Hamptons. So it's a little one stoplight town during most of the year. Then all the celebrities roll up,
Yep.
But and then Sam is sort of assistants, and they are both very good at what they do. And so I can hop in there, and like on Valentine's Day and Mother's Day and stuff, I'll hop in and kind of help around. But no, they're the talent.
Is that the second busiest day, Mother's Day?
Yeah.
Okay.
And so I think Valentine's Day is probably like 1.5 Mother's Days.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what would be the third?
I don't know.
Kind of just random.
Yeah, like sometimes Christmas is big, sometimes Easter, Thanksgiving. But other than that, it's probably just like events,
right? Yeah. Is that a main part of the business model, is doing events versus the retail? It's
a big part. It's kind of different shops do it different ways. There's places that focus on events, and they kind of begrudgingly will do some retail. We're sort of retail first. A lot of people pop in to get even one flower.
Great location.
Yeah, and so we do events. We do plenty of weddings and all that. But it ends up sort of being a bonus, where we do our business kind of day to day with everybody,
right? Yeah. Let's talk about location. I mean, what a unique spot that you guys. I mean, you're like right there.
Yeah. Snell
Arcade in a prime spot right there. Like, almost like, is it corner?
Yeah.
It's the corner.
Yeah. We're right before the corner, but it is.
It's the corner.
Yeah.
And much more traffic coming by now, especially with 400 Central. Look, that's 300 plus new doors right across the street from you.
Sure. Yeah.
So that's great for business.
It probably will be. Yeah. Once we get our parking back.
Yeah. True. But at least 150 of them are going to need roses for Valentine's Day, I would think.
There you go.
Okay, so tell me about the building. Like, is there some neat history that you shared with me when we had our call about Snell Arcade? What there's some unique guests that stayed there? Just, fill the guests in on what you know about Snell Arcade.
Yeah, so it was built in 1926. It was Perry Snell, the guy that developed Snell Isle. Mm-hmm. He wanted to do his own like crown jewel. And so he traveled all over the world, looked at stuff in Spain and Italy, and those just borrowed styles from all over the place. He ordered statues from Italy that used to be the arcade. It was like the middle hallway. It's an architectural style, basically like there's a skylight on top that used to be open, and what it was as things get hotter, air gets drawn up and in. So in the days before air conditioning, all these shops were just open air. So it'd keep the air moving. So as it got hotter, more air would move. So that's the arcade. But there used to be these statues holding lights in the arcade. It was a beautiful part. But eventually he got kind of cross-collateralized, perhaps, and he was going to file bankruptcy. Okay. And so the bank was going to take his building, but he said, not my goddesses. So he took all the goddesses and he gave them out to his friends, and they sort of popped around St. Pete for a while. And then people kind of lost track of them. But when you're going out to Snell Isle right before the Vinoy Country Club there, or even down at the water. These statues are like replicas of his. But at some point, there was a janitor for one of the high schools that had one of his statues on either side of his driveway.
Oh, wow.
And so he just had this grand entrance with Perry Snell statues.
That's funny.
But yeah, so he had it for a while. It used to be open air. On the third floor, there's like this really decorative courtyard. And it used to be a restaurant up there called Spanish Bob's, and it was a nightclub. And that's where like Babe Ruth and Al Capone were rumored to have gone. Al Capone would stay at the Princess Martha on the upper level, where you could see down into the courtyard because he was probably controlling the booze.
Right, right, yeah.
And the reason it's flat on one side, if you're standing on Central and you look at it, you got the tower on one side and then it's flat. He wanted to leave open the opportunity to build a second tower and then try to connect them up high somehow.
And that just never happened.
No, never happened.
So yeah, that balcony up top, because that's residence.
Yeah, everything from the second floor up is residence. Yeah.
Interesting. And so there's some control from the condo association on the businesses that are in there?
I mean, there's not like control on what businesses outside of no bars or like adult themed things. Because the one difficult thing about having both residence and commercial, especially in our little building where we kind of share this hallway, what is a business's entrance is also someone's front porch.
Right.
You know, so there was just kind of a what people wanted to have there and not have there. But yeah, there's they're all, the businesses and the residents are all part of the same association.
Got it.
But the only real controls over it are just like accessing common areas and you know, not having adult thing.
Right. Yeah. Well, it's a unique building. It's really cool, and the architecture is fantastic. And it, you know, it is a staple there on the corner of 4th and Central. Sure. Gives you guys a great platform. Just having a cool building to walk in. And now, like, ever since when did you acquire the shop?
Maybe about 8 years ago, something like that.
So downtown has shifted dramatically. Tell me about like when you bought the shop 8 years ago versus now. Like how have things changed?
Yeah, actually, it's like it already. So when I was a teenager, we'd go to little punk rock shows at the State Theater, now the Floridian, and the only people downtown were us little kids and being jerks, and then homeless people. And so but there was just nobody around. Most of the shops up and down Central were selling used clothes, and not like in a trendy way. It was just looked like flannels piled up. But like all the shops, I think at the time the city was like giving space away because like the demand was so low that I think the city owned them and would just rent them to literally anybody for almost nothing. And so obviously that started to improve. And thanks to once the arts moved in, and then once like the Garden restaurant opened up. But yeah, fast forward to when I started with Green Bench, and downtown was better than those days. But our block was kind of an island because there used to be, the cheese grater building where 400 is going. So that was just sort of this empty lot full of drug users and homeless people, and so people didn't like walking there. And then our side was kind of sparse because of that. So people wouldn't really leave the 200 block. The 300 block didn't have much. It was a city building. So people would either be at the 200 block and towards the water on that side, or they'd be in Grand Central and it was sort of this dead zone. But then some good people start moving in. The Galley, I give a lot of credit to, like Pete and Ian and those guys, because that restaurant where they're at had lots of turnover and lots of downtime. And so it used to be in the morning, the homeless dudes would get their free coffee, and they go there and they stand and sit at the bar and act like they were hanging out at the bar. But as soon as the Galley crew kind of took it over and they were trying to fix it, they get run off pretty quick. I think the cops that are in the little carts have helped move stuff along, because one of the challenges was, with Williams Park and then like the cheese grater building, there was,
just too much dead space to hang out.
Yeah, and there was like drug distribution, drug use, and then like it was just not a happy place to be. But the Galley kind of gave some life to that chunk of the block, and then like La Vie really went from being sort of a new thing to like a staple, and now other restaurants are up and down, and so now, I mean, just night and day. It's shocking how many more people, and especially after 2020. I think that around then is when the one building went from being like mainly investors to like being full of life, and so suddenly all these new people there, they need to shop and do whatever,
And I'm sure you didn't anticipate this evolution from when you got in 8 years ago to now, right? I mean, this has to be quite a gift.
Yeah, it's a pleasant surprise. Yeah.
Right? Like to go from this dead, homeless, drug-ridden block.
Yeah.
But
I mean, to a degree, yeah.
right? But then, the cheese grater building gets torn down, new development goes up, other businesses start to move in. They start to it's cool how it's not dramatic change, but over time, as you're telling that, I'm thinking, okay, maybe you got 10% better here, and then 10% better here, 5% better, and then all that.
And little things like Peepo's opening for when it was open, it would drag people around the corner onto 4th Street. Normally you're on Central, and before the Galley, before Peepo's, you didn't really have much of a reason to go that way on 4th Street from Central. You just keep walking. But they would have a couple tables that would drag attention this way, and suddenly, oh yeah, people walk by to the post office now. Can they go to the post office? And that, I don't know, just little things like that would.
No,
just
it's incremental to watch the flow of traffic.
Yeah.
Human behavior. I'm always interested. Like, one of my favorite things to do is sit at the airport and just watch people. People watching is just fascinating.
Yeah.
If you're ever bored, just go to Walmart.
Yeah.
Anywhere, right? Just to sit and watch people, but and the behaviors. But that's really cool, especially for you as a business owner, to see the benefits of the area change and not anticipate. And also, I would say, you maintained the business, so it's a contributing factor also.
Sure. Yeah.
Absolutely.
I'll take the credit.
No, absolutely, absolutely. Every staple, because once a business goes, out, or there's a vacant spot, there's risk of the next thing going in there could suck, or it stays empty and now there's less traffic going by.
Yeah.
So everyone's a contributing factor on your block.
Yeah. Even, I guess I won't discuss what type of restaurant it was, but there was one restaurant hadn't been there for years. And that was would also help kind of kill all the traffic. Cause they didn't do great business. I don't think their food was all that great, but also the owners would stand out in the front like this, just smoking cigarettes, scowling, and it's like
that's not very welcoming.
You get a lot of people in the door that way. So that they were there for a while, and that was another thing where it's like you start to see that, you go, nothing's that way,
right?
And so I think restaurants like La Vie probably did benefit from those people going away, where people are like, let's keep walking and seeing.
Yeah, that's what I mean. You all contribute to the vibe of the block to make people. Now, when you walk by, it's pleasant.
Yeah.
There's no. Although I am upset that Beans and Parlor's gone.
Yeah, it sounded like they got done with the whole retail world.
Yeah. I'm not sure. Just from being across the block here, we like to get sandwiches and bagels there.
Pete's Bagels is going in.
Is it?
Yeah.
Am I aware of that? I don't know how I knew that.
I don't know. Okay. They just hop in like maybe a week ago or something.
Okay, this is new news.
Yep, not open yet, but Pete's Bagels will be there.
Okay, look at that. You heard it here first.
There you go. Breaking news.
Breaking news. Breaking news. As you're on your way to go get your flowers, you can stop in and maybe get Pete's Bagel.
And some chocolate.
Yeah. True. Wow, what a just cool thing. And this is like the coolest part of like diving in for me, of like hearing all these unique stories about, because I'm 3 years in St. Pete.
Right.
And so, but I've got to extract some cool stories about how the city has evolved. And each of you, and I do applaud, each of you business owners are a contributing factor to the vibe and greatness of the St. Pete. And I truly believe that St. Pete is one of the greatest cities in America to live in.
I agree. I used to kind of like really defend, I guess no one hated on St. Pete, but when people like hate on Florida, I'd start to be like, hey, Florida's great, yada, yada, put up on the defense. Then a lot of people started moving here, so now I just let them go. I'm like, it's not so great. Let's slow it down a little bit.
No, the growth is inevitable. It's something we talk about all the time, and that if we're going to change, let the change be for good.
Yeah,
and that,
for sure.
Imagine, it's better than the city sliding backwards the other way.
Yeah, for sure.
More commerce, more foot traffic, more people. Yes, is it different? Of course, but change is going to happen. Mm-hmm. Nothing stays stagnant.
I want people to honk less. That's one thing I've noticed.
They are honkers, huh? All the New Yorkers moving down here.
I'm going to say it.
I'll say it. There's one thing I'm not. I'll talk here. I'll bring up a controversial topic. How do you feel about franchises going in on Central?
Yeah, that's not my favorite, especially if it's a big franchise. But I don't know. I guess we'll see how it does. The thing about St. Pete, especially downtown, is if you're not unique and good at what you do, you're not going to stay open very long. Like, we had, was it Engine Number 9 or Engine 9 Burgers? And so they do great burgers, prime beef and all that good stuff. And then, what was it called? Burger Fi or something like that.
We tried to open. They didn't make it?
Yeah, they opened. They didn't. They were, hey, we also do expensive burgers, but it's like, we already have that. We have a local place that does it better.
Engine 9's great. Back off.
Yeah, exactly. They're good.
Yeah.
So I prefer like locally owned things. But the thing about, franchises, sometimes it's got a local owner. It's just if it's not unique and it's not good, it's not going to last.
So I'm going to keep bringing it up because I want someone from their team to reach out to me and come convince me otherwise. But I'm really upset about Melting Pot.
Oh, okay.
That's my controversial topic.
Is it?
Yeah. Look, if we're going to talk about something that's going to get us stirred, like maybe that's it.
Stirring the
pot. I don't know. What do you think about it?
So I didn't even know. So when I moved, I didn't know Melting Pot existed until I was a kid, and it was at where Sesh is now. That old building, and so I didn't know there was more than one of them. And so, I went to school in Orlando, and so I'd see a couple of them, but I still didn't see a lot of them. So, and to be honest, I still don't know how many melting pots there are. If there are many, if it's a Florida franchise or what.
Find out
Look
right
it
now.
up.
Look, we have this neat thing called Chat GBT.
But yeah, but that little melting pot location on 23rd and 4th was kind of a staple. That it's a neat haunted building, and like when it was set up for melting pot, like every little table was almost like its own little dark cubby. And so it was a cool vibe. And so when they decided to close that down, even though I hadn't really been in decades, I was like, that sucks. So part of me associates Melting Pot with St. Pete. So when I see it, I have more of a remembering being a kid in that one location. Okay, so you're bringing
a different perspective to it.
Yeah.
I can appreciate this, Frank.
Yeah.
I can appreciate this.
Is it a major chain? What did we find out?
Okay, so as of April 26, 2023, there are 96 locations in the United States, and with the highest number of locations in Florida hosting 15% of the total. So that tells me there's about 15 melting pots in as of 20, and that was 2 years ago.
Okay.
So building more. My thing is that knowing it's a chain.
Yeah.
Knowing that a lot of people that have now moved here are from bigger cities and know it's a chain, it just doesn't feel right.
Fair enough.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, it's not unique. It doesn't have, it's not, is it I don't know. It's not, it's not Wild Child, right? It's not, and that's not even saying, that's a unique concept.
Yeah.
Right?
The tallies.
Right. Yeah. There's tons, it's not Banu. It's not, so I don't know. And nothing against it. I just think the location was not. I'm curious to see how they do.
Yeah, that'll be interesting because that's the thing. My perspective from it is purely
it's a remembrance for me. This is okay. Yeah. So for the locals, right? You're like, okay, this is and it's coming back. So maybe people are excited. Maybe I'm the idiot.
Yeah, maybe you're the idiot.
I'm not I will admit when I'm wrong. I've been having this conversation with people. I'm like, and here, let me back up and rephrase why it upsets me is because I'm worried that small local businesses will get pushed out because of increasing rent prices when bigger franchises start to move in and they can't afford it. So it's not necessarily, it's even that the fact that it is Melting Pot or Sweet Green or any of the other Burger Fi. It's what they're able to pay.
Part of that though is these developers, maybe from South Florida or outside the state, and they buy up whole blocks and then they decide, well, we think this could get up, we think we can charge $50 a square foot a year, maybe more. And so they go, well, they look local first because we can tie in local, be good stewards of our new community. And then maybe they don't find anything and they go, well, we need to cash flow this thing. Who do we got?
No, that is the issue.
And so I think that's part of it is it's not, it's not Frankie Flowers finding a tenant. It's this big company.
I agree with that. Yeah. And I think it's part of okay, so now you're looking at another major retailer and they go, oh, well, we know what Melting Pot is, so we want to be close to that. Right. Just as the foot traffic of what we talked about. Sure. Who's our neighbor? What's the driving factor to this? It's like, back in the days of the mall, J.C. Penney's, Cole, what's the other?
Dillard's.
They are end staples to the mall, and then let all the other smaller stores come in because people are coming in to shop at JCPenney's, and then they'll venture. Now that obviously that model has long gone, but that's an example of even how these retailers are looking at it. We talked about it. If you have a crappy neighbor,
Sure.
you're not going to want to come next door. And so, yeah, the melting pot could be a great success. My fear is what it attracts.
Right.
So that's I want to rephrase that because I don't
Sure.
want them to come at me and say that I'm like hating on them. It's not
cease and desist. I'm just kidding.
bring it, right? Negative talk is good. It's more of just protecting the local vibe
Sure.
that we have in St. Pete, because that is, but we can grow, but let's keep unique concepts coming, because that's what keeps us special.
I agree. And like that area too, like you got like the Morian Art Center right there. What that did for downtown St. Pete, I don't know if it really gets all of its flowers, because it was, it's in the 90s when it became sort of what it is now, or at least the building took the look that it looks now. But that was bringing people downtown when I moved here, there was no restaurant open after 5 o'clock downtown.
You came down here for lunch only.
Yeah, only lunch. Eventually there was the Keystone Club, which is where Voodoo is now. And but then that lasted till it didn't. But there's nothing. You had to go down 4th Street and Durango Steakhouse. But at Red Mesa, they opened. But there wasn't a lot of options. Like, it was not what it is now. It's such a foodie town, but it was not. But once you had there's other people, but the Morian was a big one. Eventually Studio 620 and some of these other kind of small galleries. And they put together an art walk. Now people are walking downtown. Eventually the Garden opens up on the 200 block, and they had these beautiful banyan trees which are gone. That pop-up Christmas bar, that's where the Garden was. But the Garden was the first like restaurant open after hours, after business hours downtown. So people would do these art walks. They'd go to the Garden. They'd have a little jazz trio playing. You get some cocktails and some food. And so eventually, just other little things started growing. But like the arts, and I'm a little impartial on this one, but I think the Morian did a lot to grow it.
Yeah, well, coming from an arts background, I mean, you're watching that. Is that? I mean,
yeah, and my mom was the executive director.
A little biased.
Yeah, a little biased.
Little biased. No, but that's good. I mean, it's fun sitting here talking with you, Frank, because you're giving such little snippets of history and snapshots of things that have happened over the last 8 years or so, if not more, that have really shaped downtown.
Sure.
And like we talked, it's just minor things that all become this snowball effect to build this amazing place that has drawn, such an attention, especially during COVID, of people that want to, they're moving in neighborhoods to be close to particular parts of downtown because they want to be in walking distance of this coffee shop or this bar or whatever.
The craziest thing is like the last maybe 2 years, like especially spring break, beaches always got tourists. We get tourists here, and like you can spot a lot of them because they go, it's the beach. You just walk around in your bikini all day.
Right.
And so you see, girls in just a bikini top and like
Downtown.
lounge. Yeah, downtown. It's
Yeah.
like, well, you're not very close to the beach.
Or they walk around going St. Pete's.
Yeah, St. Pete's.
Yeah.
But no, it's wild seeing tourists like make it to downtown and actually like do things here, not just at the beach. You know?
Well, I think that's because as they came in and you heard now downtown's vibrant. There's no, I mean, be careful. I think it's true. No one's going to the beach for nightlife.
No, they had a phase at some point, but it did not do well.
Right. Like if you traveled here and you're out at the beach and then you run into a local out at PCI, the one, and they're like, where are you going tonight? You're going downtown.
Sure. Yeah.
Right. And so now that there is a downtown draw, I think, you're right. You're going to see more of that. I just love the city. I love watching what's happening, and I love like the new concepts that are continuing to go in. Even in our talking about food, the scale has shifted a little bit now, especially with Olivia opening. Right there at the Ascent Building, AC Hotel. That's in Tampa, bringing a little bit more of that higher class vibe. 42 has attempted to do that. It's hard for them, I think, to maintain the classiness of it. It's still a great restaurant, but I think that what 42 showed me is that there's such a high demand for it on this side of the bridge because they're always packed.
Yeah. I haven't tried it yet. I hear it's good.
That's good.
Is it?
It's good. I think, and I am going to say this because I want you to do better. They were better when they first opened.
Oh, okay.
but because of the demand, I think they got into that spot of now they're kind of turning tables a little.
Right.
Not quite, not
Right.
not like an Applebee's.
Yeah,
not
but
even
it's-
close.
But it's the name of the business. Yeah,
but
you
it's a little bit. It's fallen just a little bit, and I'm not the first person to say that. But I want you to get back to it. So don't slide too hard. And there's that new steakhouse that's opening.
Crane.
Yeah, the Crane just
Yeah.
opened, but there's that other spot that's open in the old bank building. What block is that?
Oh yeah, the old
I don't know the
Union
name.
Trust.
Yeah, but I've seen the concepts of it. It looks
Nice.
very, very nice. So that's elevating our game a little bit here in the foodie scene.
That building was almost the Chihuly Museum, but never
Really?
came to be. Yeah,
I didn't look. You got these little like. I like how you sneak those
yeah.
in.
It's a little history.
Yeah, little history. I love it. Frank, it's your birthday. We're in St. Pete. Where are we going to go eat?
Yeah. Well, if it's on my birthday, that's all different. But I've been mentioning. I had La Vie for lunch, so that was on top of my head.
That, yeah.
So they're good. But Natalie's, I like basil leaf out on the beach.
Okay, I haven't been there.
It's sushi. They do big portions. They're kind of like lemongrass. I'm not sure if they have common ownership or not.
Okay.
But I know that the father of the owner of Basil Leaf comes in the flower shop sometime.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
he bragged me to go in with a gift certificate, and I was like, all right.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's a nice guy. But yeah, good big rolls,
Okay, like that.
hooks.
Basil leaf.
Yeah. Hooks is good. I don't know. There's a lot of good
There
options.
is a lot of good options. I know it's tough.
The Tiki Docks over on the south side is a fun one. You ever been there?
No.
Behind like Maximo and all that.
Mm-mm.
So it's like if you're heading out to go to St. Pete Beach, like from 54th Avenue South, if you turn right when you get past like the CVS and all that, wiggle back, there's a marina back there, and there's this little, it's called, I think, the Tiki Docks, and but they, it's bar and grill, seafood kind of thing, but they're right in a marina, so you can kind of sit by the water, see some
nice.
boats and all that. Yeah, it's
Okay.
a fun vibe.
Yeah, no, that's a good spot that doesn't get brought. That's why I like to ask this question,
Yeah.
because I kind of figure out all the you've been here a little bit.
I've just found this past weekend good barbecue. I don't mean to disparage everyone's barbecue, but I am from Memphis, so I'm allowed to do that.
You're allowed to do it.
So I found good barbecue thanks to this woman, Gloria, that helps out the shop sometime. It's Wildwood Cafe on 28th Street South and like 13th Ave. It's only open Friday and Saturday from 11 to 1. But we got some last week, and it's good. It's very good. So I'm going to get some ribs on Saturday.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, good barbecue. What was it called?
I think it's Wildwood Cafe.
Wildwood Cafe, and it's limited hours. That's
Yeah,
how you
it's
know.
11 to 1. They go till they sell out. Not great signage, but
They don't need to. It's word of mouth.
yeah, apparently. And now I've heard it.
Now have you heard
I've
it?
accidentally shared it. I should have kept that to myself.
Yeah, well, I mean, it could be good for them. That's the one thing I like. I mean, not that the show does well, but if we can help someone's business even by 1%,
Sure.
it's amazing.
Yeah.
I want you to be sold out of flowers by noon on Valentine's
That would
Day.
be so good.
Right?
'Cause
Like,
we're
we're locking the
there
doors
to
at 5 out of flowers.
Oh, that'd be wonderful.
Yeah.
It's a stressful day.
Yes, I bet. Let's tell them again. So you're watching this. Valentine's Day is a week away. And I got Frank here. Frank at Green Bench is going to sell you your roses. Go get them right now before they
right.
sell out, because he wants to go home for dinner on Valentine's Day.
I do. We get really punchy by the end, too. Everything gets a little squirrely.
Right. Yeah, I believe it. Yeah, all hands on deck that day.
Yeah. No, it's a wild ride. You look forward to it and you dread it every year.
I bet.
If everyone just stays calm, it'll
Yeah,
be good.
stays calm. Yeah. There has to be something kind of, not to, but working in a flower shop is probably a little bit grounding. I mean, you're with plants all day and flowers, right?
Yeah, it's nice, and then people tend to be happy to see you if you're delivering the flowers.
Right.
People always, come on in.
Yeah.
No, it's nice. It's Valentine's is like the only certain extent Mother's Day, but Valentine's is the only weird time, because for the most part, you have 99.9% of your customers are going to be chill. They want to send something nice. If they have something specific, they ask for it. If they don't, they say whatever, And so they'll be happy and polite, normal people. But I think especially the people who kind of forget about Valentine's, they get a little feral. And, when you've been working these however many hour days, however many days in a row, and somebody comes in and they're just like unreasonably upset.
Yeah. That they're late.
Yeah, that they're late. That's the problem. Or they order something and they go, well, I think this should be bigger. And it's like, well, you didn't, this knows what you paid for, you know?
Right, yeah.
It's like, it could be bigger, but not for $40,
Right.
you know?
Yeah.
And so like, but there's, people get amped up sometimes.
Yeah, understandably.
So everyone stay calm.
Stay calm and show up early.
Be nice.
Yeah.
Show up early. Get what you want.
Yeah, put your order in. Go see Frank.
That's right.
Let's make it a great Valentine's Day. Frank, this has been fun. I feel like we could go for a while.
There you go.
Yeah, but for the sake of time and our listeners, for the amazing people that are still listening to the show, what's one word that they could comment below so that we know that they're still here?
Flowers.
Flowers. Comment flowers below. Go check out Green Bench Flowers, 4th and Central in the Snell Arcade Building. Go get your Valentine's Day flowers. Your partner deserves it.
Greenbench.com.
Greenbench.com. Check it out. And again, this podcast is sponsored by Bogdan Homes. So if you know anyone looking to buy, sell, or invest here in the greater Tampa Bay area, please find our contact information in the description below. And we have all Frank's and the Green Bench Flowers contact below as well, so you can see all that. And we will see you on the next one. Thank you for watching. Share with a friend, like, subscribe, do all the fun things, and we'll see you on the next one. Bye, everyone.